Today, I would take you to a very particular place. The St. Peter Basilica is well known for its grandeur, wonders, and its masterpieces. But few know what is below it. It's a particular place that accounts for the very existence of the basilica itself, an ancient Roman necropolis and the tomb of the Apostle Peter. Before getting to the place, I would like to say a few words about when Peter came to Rome. He left Jerusalem several years after the Lord completed his salvation mission and first came to Rome probably around 48 AD. He returned here a second time, perhaps in 54 AD, and we have evidence of his presence in some places in Rome, such as the house of Prudente or that of Aquila and Priscilla. But then, around the year 65, he is again in Rome. But now he runs into the first Neronian persecution, born after the Great Fire in Rome, which the Christians were accused of. Being one of the recognized leaders of the Christians, he is among the first to be captured and martyred. But where did his martyrdom take place? It took place in the circus of Nero and Caligula, belonging to the Julia family, which was practically located between the Janiculum Hill and the Vatican Hill, where St. Peter's currently stands. The Roman writer Tacitus narrates in details the terrible ways of martyrdom of these poor Christians. Some were crucified and torn to pieces by dogs, others covered in pitch and set on fire like torches. Peter is crucified, and following tradition, he has to be crucified upside down because he did not feel worthy of being crucified like the Lord. And death comes quickly. What happens next? Some Christian faithful manage to recover his body, and they bury it not far from the same circus on the slopes of the Vatican Hill. Next to the circus passed the consular road, around which a necropolis had already been born according to the Roman usage. They bury him as they can, in the bare earth, at all risk. Time passes, and faithful seeks to improve the burial site, creating a wall and a niche. Around year 150, in this place, they built again a trophy. It would be, say, a small altar that usually in Roman tradition indicated the memory of a hero or a victory. This monument is known as the Trophy of Gaius, from the name of the traveler who in Rome some time after had seen it. Centuries go by, and what happens? Constantine becomes emperor, and in 313 issues the Edict of Milan, according to which Christianity is no longer persecuted. And Constantine, after his conversion, also under the influence of his mother Helen, began the construction of Christian basilicas. He plans to build one on the site of Peter's burial, but there is a problem. Around it, and along the slope of the Vatican Hill, there was the Roman necropolis, which in the meantime had developed greatly, welcoming many families of liberti, that's to say, freed slaves, often successful people who could afford rich tombs. He had to respect these burials, and therefore commissioned his architect to build the basilica above the necropolis only by cutting the upper part of those tombs. The new basilica therefore developed right on the site where there was the trophy of Gaius, incorporating it in a dignified structure. This Constantinian memory remained an absolute point of reference over the centuries as the place of Peter's burial. Above it, some popes such as Gregory the Great and Callistus II built new altars. Gregory the Great created a particular structure under the altar to allow the faithfuls to be able to get close to the Peter's tomb. But we come to the year 1500, with the construction of a new basilica, which will take more than a century, from 1506 until 1626. The centrality of Peter's memories were respected. Clement VIII, in 1594, built over the previous one a new altar, the one that we see today, which will then be covered in 1633 by the wonderful Bernini bronze canopy. Even though everyone was firmly convinced of the presence of Thomas Peter, no one had ever tried to do any research to discover it. It was up to Pope Pius XII in 1939, with great courage and open-mindedness, to ask a group of archaeologists to start research in the underground of the basilica. This excavation lasted a decade, from 1941 to 1949, and led to the discovery under the Vatican Basilica of the vast pre-Constantinian necropolis and of the Gaius trophy. In light of this first discovery, the Pope, in December 1950, confirmed that the tomb of the Prince of Apostles had been found. But in this tomb, there were no traces of human remains. Where did Peter's mortal remains go? To find out this, they had to wait for more years. In the meantime, they found next to the Gaius trophy a wall built by Constantine, covered by hundreds of graffiti. In 1952, an eminent expert in Christian epigraphy was commissioned to study them. And from this careful analysis emerged several graffiti with the name of Christ, Mary, and Peter. Among others, was identified a very special symbol of a letter P combined with an E that formed the image of a key, the symbol of Peter. But from this discovery, a question arose. Why all this inscription appeared on this wall? They noted that on this wall there was an empty niche whose function was not well understood. And nearby they found a fragment of a wall on which was written in Greek words, "Peter is here." This was a further proof that this tomb was the site of the last burial of Peter's remains. But suddenly we have a turning point in our history. One of the technicians who had worked in the years of the first archaeological excavation remembered that at that time some bones had been found in the niche found in that wall. These, however, are not being considered relevant because they were not in the Gaius trophy. Therefore, these bones had been placed in a wooden box and taken into the basilica warehouse. The archaeologists found this box, and inside they discovered human bones with remains of precious fabric and gold threads. A long period of analysis of these bones began, entrusted to expert scientists. These studies confirmed that these remains coincided with Peter's anatomical profile as far as age and body structure. They were those of a middle-aged man who had certainly done hard work like that of a fisherman. On the basis of these results, Pope Paul VI in 1968 declared that these bones definitely belonged to Peter. But today, how a visitor or a faithful can get closer to the Peter's tomb? The first chance we have is from the Basilica itself. Under the Bernini's canopy there is the altar of confession, and under it opens a chapel richly adorned, whose final wall contains a niche which coincides with the place of Peter's burial. Another way is to go down to the Vatican caves or grottos, the first level below the Basilica, which house the tombs of many popes. At the end of the same grottos, an arch allows you to see the same niche directly at the same level. Where there is a lit lamp, Peter's bones are placed there. There is another way of seeing and being close to Peter. This is in the visit, which can be made by reservation, to the Vatican Necropolis, which take us through all the tombs of the ancient Romans to the place where Peter's remains are preserved. Our visit ends here. I hope you will soon be able to come to Roma and have personally this experience of history and beauty. I'm waiting for you for my next episode. Goodbye.